So let's talk about the global auto industry. But forget speed and style for a minute. Today, we're digging into a new kind of report card. You could almost call it a secret one. It reveals the hidden risks and opportunities that could literally decide which car giants are going to thrive and which ones are going to fail. Let's get right into it. You know, when you're shopping for a car, you look at the usual stuff, right? Miles per gallon, safety ratings, the price tag. But what if the most critical information, the stuff that actually predicts whether a car company will even be around in 10 years, has been basically impossible for any of us to find? Yeah, I'm talking about data that goes way, way beyond the showroom floor. And look, these are not minor details we're talking about. We are talking about massive hidden risks. Things like, how fragile is their supply chain? Are there labor disputes bubbling just under the surface? What's the true environmental cost of building one of their cars? These factors have real, serious financial consequences that can hammer a company's stock, its ability to get a loan, and honestly, its shot at long-term survival. But what if there was a way to crack this code? Like a universal key that could unlock all this crucial info and let us see these companies in a totally new light? Well, there is. A new global standard is coming, and it's forcing a level of transparency this industry has, frankly, never seen before. This is all coming from the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB. They're now part of the International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation, which is a pretty big deal. And what they've done is create a set of very specific rules for each industry. For automakers, this means they now have to report on the risks and opportunities that are most likely to affect their bottom line. And let's be super clear about what sustainability means here. This is not about warm, fuzzy feelings or some vague PR campaign. This standard only cares about information that could materially impact a company's money, its cash flow, its ability to get financing, and how much that financing costs. This is all about financial health, just seen through a much, much more powerful lens. Okay, so let's dive into the specifics of this new report card. First up, product safety. And this is about more than just crash test ratings. It's really about the massive financial hit a company takes when things go wrong. And here it is, spelled out perfectly. A big recall isn't just a logistical nightmare. It's a direct shot to the brand, to sales, and to what investors think of you. The SASB standard basically puts this in writing, saying, hey, if you don't manage safety properly, that is a direct financial risk, plain and simple. So how do you even measure this? Well, these standards demand hard numbers. We're not just talking about the percentage of cars with a 5-star rating. We're talking about the raw number of defect complaints a company gets, and this is the big one, the total number of vehicles they've had to recall. For the very first time, we can put these critical safety numbers side by side and compare companies across the whole industry. All right, next on the report card, we're turning to the people who are actually on the factory floor building the cars. A company's relationship with its own workforce is another one of those hidden factors that can have huge financial consequences. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? You can't build cars if your assembly lines are shut down. This quote from the standard doesn't pull any punches. Bad labor relations can lead to strikes, and that directly means manufacturing stops, revenue is lost, and your operational risk just goes through the roof. It's a simple equation that investors can now finally track with real data. And here's what they track. First, the percentage of the workforce that's covered by collective bargaining agreements. That gives you a sense of the labor landscape inside the company. And even more directly, it tracks the number of work stoppages and the total number of days those production lines were sitting idle because of them. And just to give you an idea of the scale here, a work stoppage that has to be reported isn't just some small disagreement. We're talking about an event that involves at least 1,000 workers for a full shift or even longer. These are major disruptions that can send shockwaves through a company's entire production schedule. Okay, now for the biggest, most complex section of this entire report card. The car's total environmental footprint. And I mean everything, from the mine to the highway, all the way to the scrapyard. This is where we see some of the biggest risks, but also some of the most incredible opportunities for innovation. So the standard breaks this whole thing down into 2 main areas. First, you've got use phase emissions. That's basically what happens when you're out there actually driving the car. And second, you've got everything else. The materials they use to build it, the waste that comes out of the factory, and what happens at the very end of its life. When it comes to emissions, the metrics are super direct. Companies have to report their average fleet fuel economy, which tells you exactly how efficient their whole lineup is. And this is so important. They have to give us the hard numbers on how many zero-emission and hybrid vehicles they are actually selling. This shows us how serious they are about making that shift away from fossil fuels. Now, a huge piece of the manufacturing puzzle is something called critical materials. You see, to build batteries and other high-tech parts, car makers need things like cobalt and lithium. A lot of these materials only come from a few places in the world, which creates these giant supply chain risks. So the standard makes companies explain exactly how they're managing those risks. That's absolutely vital for their future. And finally, we get to the end of the car's life. The standard actually demands a specific number for the average recyclability of a company's vehicles. And this isn't just about being eco-friendly, it's a measure of pure material efficiency. Think about it. The more you can recycle, the less you have to worry about the crazy price swings for new raw materials. It's this perfect loop of efficiency and risk reduction. So, okay, we have safety data, we have labor data, and we've got a full environmental footprint. Let's just step back for a second and see what this all looks like when you put it together. What we get is a completely new dashboard for understanding the real health of a car company. This right here is the fundamental shift. We're moving away from that old world of glossy corporate responsibility reports, the ones filled with vague promises and nice pictures. We are entering a brand new world of standardized, comparable data that is laser-focused on portfolio risk. An investor can now directly compare how Ford and Toyota manage their recall risk or their supply chains for critical materials. It's a total game changer. And at the end of the day, none of this is about being green just for the sake of it. Every single metric we've looked at ties directly back to core business fundamentals: long-term resilience to shocks, how efficient the factory is, and the ultimate survival of the brand itself in a world that is changing so fast. Which really brings us to the final thought. The door to all this information, it's now wide open. For the first time, we have a clear, data-driven report card on the auto industry's true performance. So the question isn't if we can see the full picture anymore. The real question is, what are investors, what are customers, what are all of us going to do with this powerful new perspective?